Blog Talk Radio.
What do all men with power want? More power.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Cryptic Knowledge Radio.
I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
You know, Magneto's right. There's a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
As always, we maintain plausible denial.
Welcome to Cryptic Knowledge Radio. This is Mike, also known as Mr. Top Secret, coming to you live from Cryptic Knowledge Radio and also the UFObunker.com. I'll welcome you this Tuesday, March 9th, 2010. Today on the show, we're going to have Michael Tellinger, and it is an honor to have him on the show. I've been working for a couple weeks trying to get him on the show, and as many of you know, if you check out his site that I've linked up on the front page and also on my other site, the UFObunker.com, he lives in South Africa, and he is the author of Slave Species, The Story of Humankind, from the Cradle of Humankind. His book is linked up on the front page. You can also check it out. It's Slave Species of God. A little bit about Michael. Michael Tellinger has become one of South Africa's best-selling expert authors. His regular articles on human origins and his book on Slave Species of God have been praised by readers in over 20 countries. Michael is a scientist in the true sense of the word, never shying away from controversial issues, scrutinizing every clue meticulously. He graduated in 1983 from the University of Witwatersrand. I'm sure he will correct me on that whenever he comes on. Medical school, with a B.Pharmaceutics degree, a passion for the cosmos, genetics, and human history. You can check out more of his bio at scienceSpecies.com. I see we have a few people in the chat room. I welcome you. And I see that we have about 25 listeners. So let's go ahead and welcome Michael Tellinger on the air. Are you there, Michael?
I'm here, Michael.
All right. So what is that name on your school that you went to?
It's actually the University of the Witwatersrand, and it's always abbreviated as WITS. It's pronounced WITS, W-I-T-S. And the Witwatersrand is where all the gold was discovered in the 1900s, and that's when the gold rush started in South Africa. So it's famous for that. And the University of the Witwatersrand is probably the preeminent university in South Africa because as far as human history is concerned and archaeology and anthropology, that's where Professor Philip Tobias resides and has resided, who was one of the people that did most of the work on the Kaung skull and the ancient of in South Africa. So that's the university I graduated from.
Fascinating. So let's only have an hour with you today. So let's kind of go ahead and jump into it. And what inspired you to write Slave Species of God and also this research that you're into?
Well, Michael, when you start researching human origins and ancient religions and ancient civilizations, it doesn't take long for you to realize that something has gone wrong, and there's a huge body of knowledge and information that's just not there. And as soon as you start scratching and looking for more clues and information about human origins and the whole creation versus evolutionary arguments, you realize that there's a lot of information that just simply doesn't make any sense. So that certainly helps to push you towards making going a lot further and scratching deeper and discovering things that you never thought at school or university.
Yes, sir. How I first found out about you was off of Coast to Coast AM, and I listened to. That I know of, you've been on there twice. Have you been on there more?
Twice. No, I think I've been on with George Noory twice. I'm scheduled to go on there again very soon to talk about these latest discoveries.
Nice. I've been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I listened to both of your shows, and they were fascinating. And I was at work because at my job I'm able to listen to my MP3 player, and then when I'm at work every day, I'll always listen to Coast and other radio shows out there. And I was actually writing notes to ask you whenever I was listening to your show. So where did humankind suddenly appear from over 200,000 years ago?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, but I think we're getting a lot closer to some very definite answers, and a lot of the scientific clues and research points towards a manipulation of our DNA. The fact that we're a cloned species, and some of these questions are answered by a number of researchers and scholars and authors and academics that have been covered for probably hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Some of them have been recognized, and many of them have gone unrecognized. But there's overwhelming evidence, if you start looking at our genetic structure, that something is not quite right with our DNA. In fact, there have been many geneticists linked to the Human Genome Project and independent geneticists that study the human DNA and genome that have come out blatantly and openly stating that our DNA is very mysterious and very strange compared to all the other species, and especially the other ape kind of species of who are supposed to be the descendants of, if you believe the evolutionary principle.
Yes.
But apparently our DNA is so completely strange that it can only be explained as being of alien origin, and that certainly fits the ancient historic writing from the Sumerian tablets. What we are really the product of a civilization that started about 6,000 years ago between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, where modern Iraq is today, where the Gulf War is going on mostly. And that's an interesting. There's an interesting possibility of some mysterious things going.
Are you there, sir? Are you there, Michael?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I guess we had a little pause there. Just to the listeners, Michael Tellinger is in South Africa, so I apologize for that.
Do these Skype interviews sometimes drop for a few seconds, so if I disappear, I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Remember that, listeners. Don't worry. Go ahead,
yeah.
sir.
So, there's... But nevertheless, let's carry on. The oldest written record we have on Earth is that has been translated, and not just by one or two people, by thousands of scholars and translators of the Sumerian tablets. And it's interesting to see that pretty much the stories that are translated are all repeated, one after the other. And very few of the stories, very few of the translations have been, questions are contradicted by any specific groups. And it seems that we have a common storyline that is found